Hi everyone, I'm back looking today at the humble cucumber and how to adapt it for people that have dysphagia and need a modified textured diet. Okay, before we get started on the humble cucumber, I need to remind you that this is designed, it's for inspiration, it's for ideas, but it's not your care plan. It's not based on your individual needs and it's not designed knowing what difficulties you have. So if you have any signs of difficulty when you're eating, drinking, swallowing, so if you're coughing, you're choking, you're getting short of breath, things feel like they're getting stuck in your throat, it feels hard to eat and to chew, it's tiring, please stop and get medical advice. Contact your local speech and language therapy team, talk to them about the difficulties you're having, or ask a carer or a friend to contact them for you. Ask them to come out and see you, and they will give you advice based on your individual needs. So please, this is inspiration and it's ideas, it's there to help you, but please, if you've got any problems, please see a medical professional. So let's get started, hey? So why is a cucumber difficult to eat for people with dysphagia? As with a lot of salad items, cucumbers are made up of a range of different textures. On the outside, you've got the skin. Can you see? It's quite a fibrous skin. It can be quite tough and waxy. It needs good strength and control in your jaw and the muscles of your mouth to be able to bite through it. Next, in the centre of the cucumber are the plant seeds, surrounded by a jelly-like consistency. 95%, so nearly all the cucumber, is made up of water. What that means is when you bite into it, it gives off lots of water and juice, which you need to be able to control with your tongue and your cheeks so that you can swallow it when you're ready. A lot of people with dysphagia aren't able to do this in a safe and controlled way. So let's see how we can adapt the texture to support you to still enjoy cucumber in a safe way. First of all, cut the cucumber in half and use a peeler to peel off that skin. Be careful, the peeler can be sharp, so get some help if you need it. Next, we're going to cut that cucumber up into small pieces. Be careful not to cut your fingers. If you struggle to use sharp knives, get some help with this step. Next, we're going to put it into the small food processor. Again, this has a sharp blade in the bottom, so be careful not to cut your fingers. Put the lid on and press the button to chop. Hold the button down and count to 20. 1, 2. When it's done, take off the lid. Now, can you see what the mixture looks like? It's quite bitty and there's water separate to the cucumber flesh. These would be hard to keep together and could get stuck between your gums or on the roof of your mouth if you weren't very good at using your tongue to collect it. So we won't stop there. Next, you need to pour it into a fine sieve over a bowl. Here we're going to strain the liquid off from the flesh. You need to leave it to drain for at least 5 minutes. And you can take a spoon and push the flesh against the sieve like this to help it on its way, to help any extra fluid that might be there to drain through. You can tell by looking at the flesh that it's a lot drier now. Voila, there you go. Beautiful, tasty cucumber juice. Nice and clear, no bits. So if you love cucumber and you can drink normal fluids, you don't need them thickened, then you could, as an option, just pour that juice into a glass. It tastes just like cucumber and have a really refreshing, lovely drink. Okay, so that's option number 1. But if you need to have your liquids thickened, then there's one more step before you can have this gorgeous cucumber juice. Pour the liquid into a jug and make sure that you measure it, because if you're going to add thickener, you need to give a measured amount of thickener for the amount of liquid that's there. Look on your thickener product to see how much thickener you need to add to what quantity of liquid that you have. If you struggle with measuring these things, get some help from a family member or a carer or a friend. Add the measured amount of thickener that you need for your liquid and whisk. Leave it to stand for at least 1 minute and check the consistency. Now the consistency I was going for here was a pudding thick, which is stage 3. So depending on the type of thickener used, it'll look or feel like the consistency of a jam or a mousse. It needs to be taken with a spoon, so it can't be too drunk through a straw. It's too thick for that, and it'll sit on a fork without dropping through. Now I think from looking at this, it's nearly there, but it's still a little bit too thin. That's why checking's so important. So if that happens to you, when you check it, you think, oh, it's just a little bit too thin, it's just dripping through that fork, then add a little bit more thickener, stir it, leave it for a minute, then test it again. Make sure it's right before you eat it. Okay, so here we go. It's the cucumber juice that's been thickened. It's so refreshing. It's got a really strong cucumber taste, of course, which is the most important thing. Oh, I can't believe how good it is. It's brilliant. Really, please give this a go. It's really, really good. Next, I'm going to show you a chilled cucumber soup. So take half a cucumber and peel it and cut it in half. Where you see the middle section with the pips and that little jelly section, what you're going to do is scrape that out. Just hold a teaspoon firm against the cucumber and drag it down. Look how easy they come out. And do the same to the other half. Throw the pips away. Then chop the cucumber into small pieces. You're using a sharp knife again, so be careful. Then we're going to use a big blender like a soup maker or a smoothie maker. Put the cucumber inside. Next, we're going to add some sour cream. I measure things in cups. I've got this really handy set where each scoop is a different size. Can you see this one is 1/3 of a cup? This means that if you struggle working with numbers like weighing out grams, then all you need to do is pick the scoop for the right amount that you need and fill it. For this you need 1/3 of a cup of sour cream and then put it into the blender. Next, natural yogurt. So I'm going to choose the scoop that says 1/3 on, because I need 1/3 of a cup of natural yogurt. So pour your yogurt into the scoop and fill it to the top. Then pour that into the blender. This chilled soup has chicken stock in it. If you're a vegetarian, then use a vegetable stock cube instead. So what you're going to do is peel the paper off one stock cube, this is a chicken one, put it into a jug and add hot water. The instructions on the box of the stock will tell you how much water you need to add for each stock cube. Use a jug to measure it. Here I boiled the water in the kettle and then poured it into the jug. Be careful with the hot water, get some help if you need it. Put the jug on a flat surface so then you can look on the side of it and see how much water you've put into the jug. Adjust it accordingly depending on how much water you need per stock cube. Giving it a stir can help the stock cube to move in the water and to dissolve. It can take a few minutes for it to dissolve fully. Look in and you should see that there's no bits, no big clumps of stock cube. That's when you know that it's fully dissolved. Next you're going to add some garlic. Here I've got a clove of garlic. If you're not familiar with cooking, this might look a bit odd. What you do, you need to peel off the skin on the outside, and a garlic's made of lots of cloves. Can you see? Each one of those little segments is a clove of garlic. So if the recipe says 1 clove or 2 cloves, that's how many of those little segments you need to put in. For this recipe we need half of 1 clove, but I've just peeled them off so you can see what they look like. I've peeled off that purple shell-like skin, and now I'm going to chop it down into really tiny pieces. So first of all, I lay the knife right on top and push it down with my hand. And then really carefully start to chop it up into very small pieces. Start by cutting it in half and take the half away that you don't need. Then with the half you have left, start really carefully chopping it into very small pieces. Please get help with this part if you struggle to use knives. I'm going to chop till it gets really small. Then put it in the blender. A little bit of pepper and a little bit of salt to add a bit of seasoning. And then last but not least, you're going to add the stock. Again, I'm going to use a scoop, but this time I need half a cup. You see half a cup in green? Now you need to wait for the stock to cool before you can add it. Pour it to the top of the scoop and then pour it into the blender. Remember, this is a chilled soup, so the stock needs to be cool before you use it. Then put the lid on and blend. Blend it for at least a minute. Get someone to help you with the timing, if you need help using a timer. And then pour it into the bowl. Remember to check for big lumps in it. If it's still got big lumps in, then put it back in the blender and blend for a bit longer. Lastly, you're going to pour it through a sieve into your bowl just to catch any of those little bits and lumps that you might have missed. And what you're left with is a deliciously refreshing, smooth, creamy and luxurious chilled cucumber soup. Okay, so I'm going to try this chilled cucumber soup. Now, as British people, we don't often have chilled soup. You know, it's more famous in other countries like Spain, like my gazpacho, so it takes a little bit to get your head around it. But, can we try it? You know what? It's really good. It's really tasty. You definitely get the cucumber, but I also get garlic and that little creaminess to it. It's really refreshing. It's like a little taste of summer in a bowl. It's really nice. If you couldn't have cucumber any other way, I'd be well chuffed with this. Remember though, if you need thickened fluids and all your sauces, your soups, any drinks that you have need to be thickened, so I'm going to add some thickener to this just to show you that it can be done. Again, put the juice into a jug so you can measure how much thickener you'll need. Look on the tin for instructions, and everybody will need it thickened to a different consistency. Here I'm going to thicken it to a stage 3 pudding thickness. So add your thickener and mix. If you don't have a whisk, you can use a fork. Some people like to use the protein shakers, shake it about, whatever works best for you. Then leave it to stand for at least 1 minute. Now can you see? That's what I call stage 3 pudding thick. It's jam or a mousse, it's the consistency of that. It needs to be taken with a spoon and it'll sit on a fork, it won't fall through. Can you see when I put a fork through it, it keeps the lines that I've cut. That's how you know that it's really, really thick. Look at that, yes, that's definitely a jam or a mousse thickness. And here you can see the original one that's a thin liquid versus the stage 3 pudding thickened. Both a delicious chilled cucumber soup, one with thickener, one without. Thanks very much for watching. I hope this has given you some new ideas and opened your mind to the thought of having cucumber in lots of different ways. You can enjoy the foods that you love and the flavours that you love if you've got dysphagia. You just need to think a little bit more creatively about how you can still have those delicious flavours in different textures. Please do look online for more recipes. Just search cucumber. Cucumber dips are a brilliant way to have cucumber, like a Writer dip or a tzatziki dip. I was also going to cover a drink where you can have cucumber with watermelon, but I didn't have time, so please do look online, and if you struggle to use the internet, then ask somebody that you know and that you trust, and they can help you look it online, and then maybe you can make them together. If this has been useful, then please like it, please subscribe to the channel for more videos in the future, and of course share it with anybody that you know that has dysphagia or that works with or cares for someone with dysphagia, then it'll help. Thank you.